Hi everyone, it's Angie Perez. I just wanted to do a quick video on something that I think is a teachable moment. It came up during one of my recent transactions, one of my recent real estate transactions, where my client was starting to experience home buyer fatigue. So I kind of want to go over what that is. I think a lot of people are familiar with the term home buyer remorse. So home buyer remorse would be I'm having remorse over the house that I purchased, either because it's not the right home, the mortgage payment is too high, so I have remorse over that. But the opposite of that is when you have fatigue. Fatigue is at the beginning of the transaction. And typically what happens is you're starting to make offers on a house. You're starting to go spend most of your weekends out with your realtor looking at different properties. And all of a sudden you start feeling almost like a nervousness and anxiousness. You're not getting the results that you want. You're getting outbidded on properties. There might be multiple offers on the house that you really like, or you're experiencing multiple disappointments. Now, as a realtor for 20 years, I can tell you for certain, a lot of people go through home buyer fatigue. A lot of times people's home search can take somewhere between 6 months, a year, 18 months, depending on what you're looking for. But for my specific buyer client, what was interesting about him was he was actually doing three different home searches in one. So at the beginning, when I first met him, he wanted condos, 1 and 2 bedroom condos. Then he switched to multifamily properties, and then he switched to single family homes with basements. And all the while, I'm allowing him to do all those switches because I think that it's important for him to know like what it is that his money buys him. So for him to see multiple transactions on multiple properties to see whether or not those scenarios actually work for him. But he got fatigued. He says, it's taking too long. I'm spending way too much time. I'm starting to feel a little anxious. And I said to him, it's because you have three different home searches in one. If we narrow down to maybe one of those strategies, we'll be more successful. But you have to pick one. I can't help you pick one. You have to pick one. And once you pick one, we'll find you the right house. And he resonated with that. He said, you know what, that's a good strategy because I do feel a little bit of fatigue. I feel like I'm doing too much versus doing enough. So what he can do is kind of go back to his wants and needs, figure out what's most important to him over the next 5, 10, 15 years, depending on how long he wants this home for. And then we shop with those parameters in mind. So if you're experiencing home buyer fatigue, my recommendation is yes, take a rest, acknowledge it, saying that you have it. And then the second step is to kind of like re-strategize, figure out what your wants and needs are, and then work with your realtor on a strategy that makes or that makes you or allows you to find that specific home. So home buyer fatigue is a real thing. If you have it, acknowledge it, reassess your wants and needs, and then go out and shop again because you're close to a breakthrough. You're close to finding that house. If you have the fatigue, it's because you've already done the hard part, which is getting acclimated to the market.